Welcome back to PH.d TV, and today I'm going to be going over 5 unpopular opinions I have in movies and TV. And of course, with this being said, the consensus with the internet, if you disagree with someone's opinion, you're a bad guy. I'm not that way. My opinion is just an opinion, does not make it the right opinion, does not make it the correct opinion. It is just a opinion. With that being said, number 1, The Last Jedi is actually good. In fact, of the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy, it was my favorite. And the reason being of why I say that is, bear with me,
it did something different.
And now maybe too different, and that's unfortunate, but that doesn't make it wrong. But this is what I think, and I've said this before in several videos, and that's this. I'm okay with some popcorn fun movies. I think The Force Awakens was fine, it was fun, but it was a new skin on top of A New Hope to me. Which, that's fine, it was safe, I kind of knew how it was gonna end, and instead of Obi-Wan Kenobi dying, it's Han Solo, you get the idea. It was a little copy and paste for my personal liking, but that's also why it did so good. Then The Last Jedi comes out, and the Star Wars fandom they just broke. They said this is awful, this is terrible. And I went to see this in theaters by myself, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I've said this before on my YouTube channel, and I have said that it is okay if you fail, because people are more apt to forgive you for failing as long as you're doing something different. When you failed because you kept doing the same thing over and over and over, it looks like insanity. Whereas if you do something different, thank you for at least trying, especially in a world where today we are monopolized by copy and paste. And I thought The Last Jedi was great. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it had one of the cooler lightsaber battles, if not the best one in the new sequel trilogy. Kylo Ren was, who I thought was just a whiny brat in The Force Awakens, actually turned out to be an excellent character. Luke Skywalker's character art, yeah, it was a little tough to watch, but here's the thing. It's fiction, it's a story. If that's where he went, that's where he went. What are you gonna do about it? Enjoy the story for what it is. And it's just supposed to be fun. It's a movie. And for those who have to hear it, Star Wars doesn't actually exist, so it's a story. And I just lost subscribers. But I do think The Last Jedi is a great movie. Moving on to number 2, I'm actually gonna say The Lord of the Rings is just fine. It's fine. Lord of the Rings are fine.
Stupid fat hobbit.
But now I see why people like it. I see why it won however many Oscars. I know it's it's in the 30s. It's the only movie, the third one specifically, is the only movie in Oscar history to be nominated for 11 Academy Awards and win Academy Awards, all 11, to not only tie for most Oscars ever won by a movie, but the only movie to also clean sweep at that level of, it's impressive. I can't deny it. When I do watch Lord of the Rings, and it's usually with a group of people, I have never turned them on to watch by myself except for the first time I was watching them. They're incredibly well done. They are incredibly directed. Honestly, I will go as far as to say that they are near flawless for what they are. But in terms of the world, in terms of the story, in terms of the Lord of the Rings, if you know, you know, doesn't make it the wrong opinion, it just makes it mine. And I understand, I'm in the minority. But The Lord of the Rings is just fine. It doesn't blow me away.
It's fine.
For number 3, when it came down to all the Marvel TV shows, everyone says Loki is the best, this is that. This was the worst, and She-Hulk was just abysmal. I thoroughly enjoyed She-Hulk.
You know the vibes. You know the vibes. Switch up the ride. Switch up the ride. Don't check the price. Don't check the price. No switch your sides. No switch your sides. In a drop top. Yeah. I go shop. Yeah.
But that's not to say it's good. I didn't say She-Hulk was good. I'm saying I enjoyed She-Hulk for the same reasons as The Last Jedi. I'm okay if you are not the popular one. I'm okay if you are not the show of choice, if you're not the movie of choice, but at least you did something different. And a lot of people online say they just tried to use the Deadpool style with She-Hulk to get that mass popularity. And I get it, they kind of did, but she's also kind of just like that in the comics, so not really. She-Hulk was kind of doing She-Hulk stuff. And I thought the actress was funny. I thought the character was funny. I'm not gonna lie, the twerking scene was kind of ridiculous.
He almost tasted that. Num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta heat me.
But it was fun. I actually enjoyed showing up every week to watch the new episode because it was kind of goofy and I could turn my brain off for a little bit. I don't think it was far from being the best Marvel Cinematic Universe property, but I enjoyed She-Hulk thoroughly. And I would be more apt to watch She-Hulk over WandaVision, if that gets any point across. And for number 4, and this is actually coming from someone whose favorite character I'm about to talk about, my favorite fictional character, James Bond. I'm not against him having died in the last movie of his, No Time to Die. I probably should have given a spoiler warning, but I do think after so many years, you kind of just get over the fact there's a spoiler. It's your fault if you've missed it at this point. But he dies in No Time to Die at the very end, though due to some dumb reasons or inconsistently plotted reasons. I get it because, again, nanobots, he had a watch that technically was an EMP, so shouldn't that kill the nanobots that ultimately caused him to not be able to leave the island to be with his family before he gets blown up?
We just need more time.
I know.
I honestly think it was a rewrite, reshoot issue during COVID since it was the first major movie before the pandemic, but I digress, moving on. James Bond dying was a huge controversy at the time, one of which I did not mind long term. Reason being is that I saw the movie and I had kind of they did it well for what it was. It was emotionally impactful. It was a well-made scene, acted wonderfully. The music swells and it's sad, which is what it's supposed to be. And at the time, I was also reading a lot of the continuation novels, specifically the Anthony Horowitz novels. And the thing about those novels is that how it ends in the last book of the trilogy, it kind of leaves you hanging on whether James Bond lives or dies. And in my opinion, more so leans towards the fact he dies.
Which makes it canonically that he could die and he's human.
Even though movie James Bond, he's supposed to be like this indestructible, pseudo-indestructible, time out. He's still a human, but he's supposed to save the day and never die, and he gets the woman, and it's the classic hero's journey story, and that's it. But in the books, James Bond is fallible, he is human, he bleeds, just like in this movie in which he dies. So with that being said, I don't have an issue with James Bond dying, especially since Daniel Craig's tenure was its own story. So James Bond dying is fine with me. And lastly, with my unpopular opinions, and this one I don't know if it's unpopular, I feel like it's more I'm just on the minority side of the field. But I do think that Zack Snyder's Justice League is not only one of the best superhero movies ever, I think it is actually better than Avengers Endgame. And I say this because Avengers Endgame just felt like it was a big, massive payoff of not copy and paste, but we were getting there eventually, and there's only one way to end it, and that's how they ended it. And they killed Tony Stark because they had to really seal the deal on the entire arc. Captain America going back with Peggy Carter, which I'm good with, even good with Iron Man dying. But the movie was long, it was bloated, and I don't know how to describe it because I'm a fan of it. But here's the thing. I think this is what it was. I think it was an emotional payoff for the viewers to watch Avengers Endgame, but I fully believe Zack Snyder's, especially the Justice League, is amazing just for the fact that if you know the backstory of the Justice League movie, check it out, look it up. There's plenty of work on it. Just type in, I think it was Save the Snyderverse or just Snyderverse. Type in Snyderverse.
Restore the Snyderverse.
Just look it up, you'll get the idea. You type in any of what I just said there, it will pop up. But you could tell the passion, the will, and the love for the characters were not made for money purposes. Yeah, they were trying to catch up to Marvel, which was money purposes, and that was the first Justice League with Joss Whedon. But what Zack Snyder did was so genuine, and you could feel the depth of what he was aiming to do, to the point to where it was its own great movie that I think stands taller than anything Avengers Endgame even got close to. So with that being said, in a nutshell, Zack Snyder's Justice League is better than Avengers Endgame. With that being said, let me know what you think. I want to hear unpopular opinions. I think that's actually one of the more fun genre topics to talk about. So put down in the comments below what your unpopular opinions are. Like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm trying to grow this channel, and that's something that you've got to help me do. And as always, this has been PH.d TV. I'll see you next time.